It's officially the holiday season here on Wall Street, and there's a lot of talk about what to get people for the holidays. And believe it or not, the gift of gold has been a trend this season. Yes, actual physical, tangible gold. Don't believe me? Just this week, Costco on its earnings call said it has sold more than $100 million worth of gold bars in a few hours until sold out. So seeing that gold is a hot holiday item, I find it fitting that Maksud Trax Agadjani, founder and president of TraxNYC Corp, a jewelry company located right here in New York City's famous Diamond District, joined us on Modern Wall Street at the New York Stock Exchange to discuss the state of the current gold market, including recent price fluctuations.
Well, I mean, you could call it a high spike. It's really, to me, undervalued. The price we're looking at right now was the price in 2009. That's before all the printing, so for it to be the same price relative to that when the economy really started having that Great Recession seems like a bargain. But it's not really about that. It's not really about it ticking up another 10% or 15% or even 50%. It's about the currencies that are surrounded, the fiats, and the big game on that end. And if within our lifetime we're going to see a serious issue where we're going to have to really transfer value in a different way. Now, it could be cryptos, the dollar's got its issues, runaway inflation, runaway debt, runaway deficits. And, my big question is, what role is gold going to play over the course of my lifetime? Back in '72, Nixon decided to go off the gold reserve, right? And ever since then, it was been free floating. And is that going to have a problem or not? And that's my big question, essentially.
So I had to ask Maksud, a man in the gold business, if one should follow the recent trend of buying gold as a counter to the dollar. There's a lot of commercials out there. Even Costco CFO explained the surge in Costco gold bar purchases are simply patrons exchanging their dollar bills for gold bars. I wanted to know his thought on this trend as well, and also what makes TraxNYC stand out from its competition. For that, we go back to Maksud.
The answer could be yes, and the answer could be no, all right? You know what I'm saying? That all depends. I'll put it this way. There's some people that are, digging shelters for, an apocalypse, right? So are they wasting their time or not? Now, we hope not. But in the case that something does happen, and, in history, things happen. Reality hits as we went through the pandemic and all that other stuff. In those cases, then you're like, oh, wow, thank God I did this, or thank God I moved out and have my own food supply or something like that. So these are all abstract situations, but they're life and death in those serious moments in history. So I'm hoping that they don't need any gold, that they're better off buying Microsoft or something like that, or whatever it might be. But this is a shaky world. It's drifting in a lot of different directions, and gold might make that play. So what's the bottom line? There's not a single person that owned gold in their life and then said, oh, why did I buy this? There's not a single person that ever happened to. It has that value, and it's not going to disappoint you. We don't sell gold at a spot price. We sell, fine jewelry, gold chains, and finished products. So we're, competitive in that as far as service and price and so on and so forth. But if you want to stack gold, if you want to know a secret, the real way to do it is to find a scrapper. And before they melt it down, you could buy at spot price. So you could just put your capital aside, and over time it is going to pop. It's never going to really disappoint, but it's not a stock. It's not a productive asset. You know what I'm saying? You got all sorts of volatility in Bitcoin and here and there and so on and so forth. But this is something that you have in your safe, and you know what to do. It's a good play. In my opinion.
So Maksud is obviously involved in the markets. He just said he believes it's a good play. So I had to ask the man himself, where does he see the play being in both the short and long terms? For that, Maksud with the answer.
We hope we live in a responsible world where gold is going to go up 20% to 30% or maybe 50%. and you'll see a little return. But in the case that we're living in an irresponsible world where our debt and our deficits really catch up to really print out, and China and other states, play a serious hand on throwing off the dollar as they're positioning themselves to do. People don't want to wake up and smell the coffee and deal with that reality as they're encircling Taiwan and preparing a dominance play of some sort. And the dollar is a play that. And if we end up in that world, then gold might be the only thing of value you have, And it's hard to imagine, but you don't want to be caught out there. I mean, I'm doing well. I'm international, and I'm incorporating AI into my business as quickly as possible. When it's with designing, I'm training my own AI to do sales and service. So that's how I got to stand here to begin with. When the internet first came out, I was the first one on eBay. I built the e-commerce platform during the pandemic. I was selling like crazy when everyone else had to be closed and physical. So I was ahead on that end. And then I was in social media, gave me a big boost while everyone else was just waking up to that. I was already established. Now comes the AI, so I'm a little bit ahead on that end, and I get that advantage, but it's not all about me, you know what I'm saying? It's about everybody out there. There's mom and pops and businesses, and everyone's going through unspeakable things out here in this environment. Extraordinary pressure for good people and good businesses that went through injustices. And you're responsible to protect yourself, but it's been increasingly more hazardous as the years have gone on, and that's not a good trend, So I'm doing okay, and I'm preparing myself. The other markets, they're all different, and jewelry you want to buy locally to begin with, but people fly in, and we're in New York City, so on and so forth, tourists. So I'll be fine, but everyone else out there, got to figure that out.